So this is sort of under the general topic of relational communication challenges. And so Sean and I, through our own work in the trenches of our communication, we came up with this method called the Namaste Method. And we have a whole course on this. And so I think some of you have gone through it because it was a Patreon offering.
Yeah.
But the meaning, I think we all probably are familiar with the meaning of Namaste. It's the divine in me recognizes, connects with the divine in you. So the real cornerstone of this communication method is that we take this orientation that in as much as we can in our communication, we inhabit our God self, as well as, of course, honoring our human self and what the human is feeling. But we practice unconditional acceptance. We practice unconditional love. We practice unconditional safety. And we view ourselves and the other as God does through these beautiful unconditional acceptance, love, and safety. So I think we're just going to briefly go over some of the key points of this and really direct people to the Namaste Method in general. But a couple other key points here are, there's so many that are so good. One that I really love is stick to the facts, ma'am. So this has been a great teacher for Sean and I. I'll just share a quick anecdote. There was a night that we had made a plan that Sean was going to call me. He had his kids on this night and he was going to call me. And I think it got really late and he hadn't called. And he ended up texting something like, I was waiting for my oldest son to go to bed and then I was going to call you, but then it just got too late and didn't call. And human tassel just read so much into what he wrote. Stuff started coming up, and this was all like stories and experiences from my past. He doesn't have time for me. He is putting his children before me. He does not value this relationship. I don't know if, how can this all work out? And I just was adding like so many stories and so many assumptions and presumptions. And I was not sticking to the facts. And I ended up texting him all this stuff. And it just created so much chaos and disorder and hurt feelings. And it was a real learning for me. And that's how I learned, no. Just stick to the facts. What are the facts here? Just stick to what he said and you can talk about it later. You don't have to add all this other stuff to it.
Yeah. And yeah, on my side, I kind of woke up in the morning to all the texts and I was like, what has happened? Because on my side, I thought it was very benign, sort of like I knew she'd be disappointed. I said I would call and I couldn't. I understand. But I thought I had sort of communicated. I was trying to, and sort of that type of thing. So it's not super important, but the important thing is sticking to the facts of just objectively, what did they say they were doing? We want to try not to presume what someone's doing. We have to try to just be aware that just like they don't truly know, and they sometimes misunderstand what we're trying to do and bring, we're easily able to do that as well. And if we approach it from this place of like, the divinity within recognizes the divinity in you, whatever they're doing must be appropriate for them anyway. And it may not feel great. Something might be triggered in us, but they're doing their whatever they need to do. And that's probably pretty much how they're seeing it. And they're probably not so much trying to hurt us. And so what ends up happening is we rationalize the fear because we feel bad about the fear. So then we start to find the reasons for it. And it's great. It's perfect because once we see the reasons, we start to see the stories, and then we realize we're in a story, or our partner says you're in a story or something like that. Right.
Yeah. And what's interesting is it was easier in a way to kind of blame you or assume like negative things than just to sit with my own uncomfortable feelings. And my own uncomfortable feelings were like, I missed you. I wanted to talk. I didn't really like that you hadn't called me. And so there was like disappointment and missing. And I needed to sit in that. That's what was happening. That's what was real. That was a fact. And I needed to sit in those feelings, but I didn't want to. So I think that can often happen for the human. The human doesn't want to sit in the feelings, and they want to look externally to like, oh, well, this and that, and point the fingers. And the finger just really needs to go here. And
if they did this differently, then I wouldn't feel this way.
Yeah, exactly. This needs to shift so I don't have to feel uncomfortable again.
And sometimes they haven't done anything at all. Like they're just literally like, when I said my sexuality was changing, for example, I didn't even realize what I was doing. I just was like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like making soup or something. So I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I realized, oh, what have I done? This is kind of a thing. Like if she said that to me, I'd probably be like, what? Right. So we have to sort of realize sometimes they're not at all aware for sort of the words they've used that are gonna get twisted a little by the part of the mind that wants to explain the fear and blame. Like they'll twist. So like I think with Tassel's thing, I had worded something a certain way that she took to mean that I didn't have time for her, that like I wasn't, that thing. And all I was saying was I was trying to have more time with her, but my attempt to have more time caused me to have no time, basically. And that's what I was trying to express. But it again, came across different.
Just always keeping the perspective that whatever is happening is catalyst so that you can feel something that's within you and clear it and integrate it. And so just in my marriage, I had a lot of experiences with my ex-husband where I felt he would not make time for me and he would put like the children before me. And I don't think I had like fully felt that and moved that through me. So that was an opportunity for me to just feel that. So just always this constant meta perspective of whatever's happening, I've called it in so I can see something in myself. I can see my own shadow. Do you want to like share any other little key point that you find important?
No, I think the next thing's good. We have this course will be coming out for anyone who missed it. If you're a patron, it'll be the recorded version should be on the patron site. You should be able to access it. But if you're not a patron, and then we're going to put it up for sale as well. So did I cover that properly?
Yeah. Oh, you're just saying that if anyone's interested in the Namaste Method, it's in the Patreon community. And we're also, I think within a week, we're going to have it up.
Our goal is to have it up
as an offering
soon, like within the next few days or so. So,
and maybe I'll just say one other key point in this method, which I really love, is an orientation of humbleness and curiosity about oneself and about the other. I just love this word curiosity so much. When we're kind of having maybe a hard moment, can we be curious about the other person's experience? Can we ask questions? Can we try to really understand from their perspective? And just humble ourselves. We don't know. We don't know what they're experiencing. We don't know. I love that practice so much.
And we can apply all of these practices, that a lot of them that we've been talking about, like I said in the very beginning, we can apply to any relationship. We can apply to our relationship with our children, our whatever. We may need to make some sort of modifications to how we show up with it. But ultimately, if we can respect the other's sort of sovereignty, which we'll get into next, while respecting ours and honoring ours as well, then we can tend to figure out a way to be at peace with any being that we encounter, more or less. So as soon as you see anyone, you can immediately just try to remember the divinity here sees the divinity there, whether they do or not.
And just one last little thing, at the very end of this course, we go through a real example of a difficult, actually, it's the same example I brought up. It's the phone call example.
Oh, listen.
Yeah. And we go through it, and Sean came up with this beautiful flow chart of how to really peacefully and comprehensively talk about any conflict between two people. There's a whole little process, and it's really effective. And
it's already free on Patreon. So if you're a patron, you already should have access to it if you go to the posts.
Yeah. But if there's just any things that you find difficult to talk about with anyone, there's just a whole really sweet process that you can go through.